Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we have 10 full deck guides for you. Yeah, you heard that right. 10 full decks. The single best deck in Marvel Snap for every single card changed in the OTA. And of course, a weekend mission deck for Scarlet Spider as well. Let's take a quick look at what changed, then we'll start going card by card. Hela is now a 6/7, yes, that is more, and she gives -3 instead of -2 to the card she brings back. That is obviously way worse unless you're running Luke Cage, so Luke Cage is now the official version of Hela. Those versions had the highest win rate anyway. Marvel Boy loses a simple power from 3/2 to 3/1. War Machine likewise loses a power from 4/7 to 4/6. Symbiote Spider-Man goes up to a 4/7 from 4/6, being another season pass card after Gilgamesh that's buffed in the same month he came out. Galactus is finally buffed again to a 6/6. He was a 6/7, he went down to a 6/5 around a year ago, around last October, and now he's getting one of his 2 power back. Negasonic Warhead is changed for like the 5th time and becomes a 3/3. The first, upon launch, full season pass card, Black Panther, is finally buffed from a 5/4 to a 5/5. Kraven becomes a 2/3, getting an extra power, and Hercules becomes a 3/5, getting an extra power. We will go through these all one by one, along with their decks, and talk about what we can learn from each of these changes. Let's begin with Hela. This is the Husky Hela, and Comies was the first player that I saw that made this deck work with Luke Cage in it, right at the very beginning of September. So given that that's the case, I always give Comies a little bit of credit for the Luke version of this. We featured this version at the start of the month. This remains one of the highest, if not the highest, win rate versions of Hela. The highest win rate versions of Hela, though, are not huge win rates. They're all like low 50% win rate. They're like 52, 53% win rate. This one ends up at, I believe, about 54% win rate, according to Marvel Snap Zone stats, which is still pretty damn good for Hela because Hela always has a huge cube rate. Hela is a card deck that snaps, so if you're staying against Hela, when they win, they're getting way more cubes than you would expect. Make sense? This list is everything. I know it still says Hela is a 6/6. Snapzone didn't update yet, I'm sorry. But Hela is a 6/7 with Luke Cage in this list. This list should not be in any meaningful way significantly worse. The power of Hela is that you see every card in deck. So unless Clog stops you from being able to have space for that Luke Cage to be played, you should have space for Luke and be totally fine. You can find Husky Puppies, the Hela originator, at twitch.tv/HuskyPuppies35. He's currently around the top 5 ranks of Marvel Snap. If you don't have Blink, Lockjaw, or Symbiote Spider-Man are both completely fine replacements. We put a Symbiote Spider-Man feature version of this list that won a tournament, and I believe it was Monday's video if you'd like to check that out. So, Hela. Let's talk Hela before we go forward. Hela is worse. People are going to act like this is just a buff. It is not, especially in a meta that's heavy in Clog. -3 is a lot worse than -2. There's a lot of games where you're not going to see that Luke, or you'll be forced to play that Luke and get it Red Guardian or Rogued or whatever. And now the -3 is huge. It does, however, protect cards like Death and Magneto from Shang, which only really matters if you don't get that Luke, but it is a thing that matters. Hela is worse than she was yesterday. This is a real nerf. I don't think that's enough worse to make her really less played, but I do think with all the junk in the meta, she's not the perfect thing to play right now anyway. The reason that people like me don't really want Hela in the meta at this point isn't because she's proven to be the best, it's because she promotes an unfun play pattern that doesn't really allow for much interactivity. However, this should hopefully drive her play rate down because, again, she wasn't that great to begin with, and she should be significantly worse. So turn 1 is Blade if you have a 6, but not Death. You don't want to blade away Death. Same thing as 1 for turn 2. Turn 3 is Lady Sif. Again, ideally Death, but if you, at this point, haven't drawn Hela or Death and you have a different 6, you're fine to Lady Sif that off. You can also Blade with the same basic patterns as before. Now you'll happily Blade off Death. And if you must, you can play Luke Cage. After turn 3, you would really like to get out Hellcow. Hellcow is a snap condition in and of itself. If you don't have Hellcow, you're probably playing Jubilee. You can also obviously play an earlier turn. Turn 5, you really want to get Hellcow out, please do so. If Hellcow is better than Jubilee. It's worth noting at this point, though, if you play Jubilee on 4, you want to blink on turn 5 to get rid of that Jubilee. Turn 6 is trigger Hellcow, and then play Hela. And if you don't have Hela, you play either Jubilee or Blink in order to get your Hela. And that's fundamentally how you win with this list. All good? Right after this, we're going to chat for a moment. Then we've got the rank 11 Marvel Boy. One last look at this list. This is the most common meta deck. You sort of have to have at least some play into this to be considered one of the top decks. Although, it's worth noting that the #1 player plays decks that die to Hela, retreats against Hela, and just grinds on ladder, saying, I win enough of my non-Hela games that I can just run when Hela goes off. So that it is worth knowing that that is a completely viable ladder option, depending on how much Hela you are currently seeing. Hey, if you're willing to, please hit that sub, like, and comment button. We bring you more decks than anyone. Today, we've got 10 freaking decks for you. Every day, we've got at least 4 decks. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the top 10 decks in Marvel Snap with Den of Marvel Snap Zone. More content than anyone every single day. If you want the best decks before anyone else, this is the channel for you. We're also trying really hard to get to 15,000 subs by the end of the year. We're like 1,300 away, which boggles my mind. And we have like 2 months. So if you could help us with that sub, it really mean a lot to us. In addition, a like and comment would go a long way to getting the YouTube algorithm to show this video to more people, which would further help out the channel. In addition, liking and commenting on this video enters you to win a season pass as long as you're subbed. Basically how this works is every video from Monday's video to today's video had a question in it. When you answer that question in the comments, as long as you're subbed, you're entered to win a season pass. On Sunday's video, I think there's 2 Sundays videos. On one of Sunday's video, what you're going to do is you're going to pull a season pass. You're going to be announced as a season pass winner if you have commented on a video and your name gets pulled. So if you'd like a free Agent Venom season pass, make sure you comment when I ask a question later on this video. In addition, we have a Pokemon Pocket podcast. I'm going to spend part of my Friday figuring out how to be from New Zealand and download this because it is soft launched in New Zealand currently. I am beyond excited for this game. Gunny T has a video about it yesterday. That'll be at the end of this video. I'm doing this channel also with my son Noah, who's 8 years old and super excited for Pokemon. So if you're interested in the new Pokemon Pocket game, which is sort of the Marvel Snap of Pokemon, please check out the Pocket meta. All you have to do is type in Pulse Glazer Pokemon or check the pinned comment / description to this video / end screen for this video. Alright, Safety Blade has this deck, he calls it Cobra Kai. He is rank 11, and this is his main deck this season. He spent basically the entire season in the top 20, playing largely this list. It's really good. This is an incredibly strong list. Safety came up with a genuinely brilliant idea for how to use Wiccan that we'll get to when we go through the turn by turn, but what you should notice is that this is just fundamentally, outside of cards you need for Wiccan like Maria Hill and Kate Bishop, just the best cards in slot. US Agent is a ton of stats for a 2. Speed is a ton of stats for a 3. Marvel was a ton of stats for a 3. Gwenpool is a ton of stats for a 4. So, like, this deck is just saying, I'm going to beat you on sheer numbers. And then you've got a little bit of control as well because you got Shining Alive. Brilliant deck. Props to Safety. So you can find Safety streaming decks like this at twitch.tv/SafetyBlade. Yep, that's it. That's how you find him. All right, so you need Kate Bishop. You need Marvel Boy. You need you need Kate Bishop, you need Marvel Boy, you need Gwenpool, you need Wiccan, you need Alive. I know that makes this expensive, sorry. Silver Sable, Kitty, and Nico can be Iceman, Nightcrawler, and Hawkeye. US Agent can be Marimordo, Jeff, kind of whatever, too. US Agent's very good, but pick your best statted 2, or your most versatile 2. And Speed can be Gladiator, Nocturne, or Polaris, and let's be honest, Speed is not significantly better than Gladiator in the first place. All good? All right, let's talk some Marvel Boy. So Marvel Boy losing a power means that Zoo is performing really well. Zoo is this wonderful meta answer that was secretly near the top of the metagame, and very few people were playing with it. Part of the power of Zoo is how hard it was to interact with Marvel Boy. At 2 power, Marvel Boy is often safe from even Red Guardian, and Red Guardian is a card that's picking up steam. As a 3/1, this is a card that is Red Guardianable. Marvel Boy is a worse card by a fair amount. However, the sheer amount of power this puts out is still among the tops in the game, assuming you're building around Marvel Boy. I think Marvel Boy is still a card that you want to look into. It's still a card that you want to play in a lot of decks, including Zoo, including some Wiccan decks like this one. Don't cut Marvel Boy, it's still great. There's also very likely to be some kind of Ravonna Marvel Boy deck. We'll keep an eye out for that and bring it to you as soon as it's out. Marvel Boy now becoming a 2 with Ravonna, which means you could play a 1 with Marvel Boy on turn 3. You can go Squirrel Girl Marvel Boy alone on turn 3, which is insanely powerful. I'm really excited to figure out what that list looks like. Alright, so turn 1 is a 1 that makes the most sense for hand. Kitty makes a lot of sense if you need a second 1 for the next turn. Maria Hill makes a lot of sense if you need a 2 for the next turn. If you have a 2, if you have 2 2s in Kitty, you play Kitty on 1, and then you can play that second 2 in Kitty on 3. You're just using those cards to make sure that you can fill out your curve. Turn 2, you want Kate if you don't have a turn 3. You want US Agent if otherwise, and you're fine playing 2 1s. Remember that Maria Hill here can make sense if you have like a Kitty or another 1. Turn 3, you would really like Marvel Boy, assuming you've played any 1s, and that's generally better than Speed, which is better than 2+1. Turn 4, your goal is to Wiccan, and if you can't Wiccan, you're fine playing Gwenpool. And this is the brilliant idea that Safety came up with that's winning him so many cubes. After you Wiccan, you can drop Gwenpool and a 3, which is just wild. If you drop Gwenpool and a 3 on turn 5, like Gwenpool and a Speed, right? You're just playing so much power at that point in the game. Your goal then is to play Eliath, and another card that hopefully got hit by Gwenpool, or you can just go like Shang and US Agent and go off. Super cool idea from Safety. Top ranked 11 right now, and again in the top 20 all season with largely this list. Don't sleep on it. We're not dropping you anything but bomb decks in this video. We've got the meta Hella deck, this brand new frickin' Marvel Boy thing that Safety's crushing with. Next up, we've got a secret crazy win rate War Machine deck coming in a moment. Last look at this list. Give it a try. Again, I think this list is absolutely stellar. If you have access to it, it's a must play. The Pirate King Tuccrr, assuming that the Hurricane is good to our friend, will be playing that later as a member of the stream team. The stream team are our friends on Twitch who also have YouTube channels. What they do is they play some of our decks on a specific day of the week. Today is Friday, so the Pirate King Tuccrr, assuming hurricanes are kind to him, will be streaming some of these decks from today's video tonight. Worst case, tomorrow morning, FaThorNewman does a weekly review where he plays all the decks of the week and tries to figure out what he likes best. Sunday's video will be the King of Canada, and remember, the day after the stream, there will be a video on YouTube of what their findings were. All right, Bonkerton's top win rate deck. So I found this deck about a week and a half ago. If you watch my, well, you'd have to be a $10 Patreon, but I do an exclusive $10 Patreon video where I review a bunch of untapped stats and see what's there. This has been one of the top win rate decks in High Infinite all season. It's also now one of the top win rate Infinite Conquest decks. I could not figure out who made this. I kept almost featuring it and then like finding something else last minute. And if I can find something else that I know who the creator was, because the goal is for you to check out some more creators, right? For you to see some more great players. I will often put off the deck, but hey, randomly, FaThorNewman, whose name we just said, sent me this list and was like, by the way, Bonkerton made this really, really sick deck. Apparently, this is Bonkerton, so props to Bonkerton, a member of Newman's community. This list is awesome. This is the best Electro list since Galactus? Since Classic Galactus, probably. Because Electro into War Machine just says, I've got an extra energy, no problem. You're not really behind on curve, even with War Machine as a 6. Or Electro into Blink gives you a shot at War Machine, Cull, Eliath, Scar, or Infinite, and you're perfectly happy with any of those. If you can, in fact, go Electro into Blink, and you get an Eliath or an Infinite, and then you can play a Cull, or you can just straight up play an Eliath because you'll have that extra Electro energy. You then have a 2-cost Scar, which is just silly when you have 7 energy. So you can play like a Scar, a Chimera, and an Ebony Maw at that point if you somehow got a War Machine, or you can play that extra Silver Sable or whatever else. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff here. All right, so you can find FaThorNewman at twitch.tv/FaThorNewman. He also has a YouTube, but he seems to be pushing that Twitch more right now, so we're going to push that too. And again, via Bonkerton. You need Metam Web, War Machine, Scar, Blink, and Eliath. Metam Web is here largely because you will often play that Ebony Maw on turn 1, and if you do play that Ebony Maw on turn 1, and you don't happen to get War Machine, well, Metam Web says I can put cards there. Silver Sable can be Iceman or Nightcrawler. Silver Sable is nice, but not a requirement. Also, feel free to hide your Bob if you have that card. Kara can be Shadow King or Red Guardian. You want a good 3 that has some synergy. If you're adding Shadow King, you're sort of adding it just because move is obnoxious. You can replace Cull for Crossbones. That's a relatively even change. If you do make that change, though, make sure your earlier changes of like Silver Sable are for things with high power, so you can try and get priority for that Crossbones. And again, this has a really, really high win rate. It was like in the 70s, and it's settled into like 63-64% win rate, but it's also in the high 70s on the Infinite Conquest board. This is a legitimately really, really powerful deck, and I'm so happy we got to feature it for you folks. All right, so what do we know about War Machine? We know that War Machine as a 4/6 with an on reveal was bad, like unplayably bad. No one played it. We know that they made it 4/7, and that wasn't enough as an on reveal. When they changed it to ongoing, we knew it would be good. We immediately predicted it was going to lose power. I think it's still likely to eventually lose one more power and go down to a 4/5, but as is, it's still a very good card. It is a fair amount worse, particularly in the Storm War Machine Legion combo, because you need Prio to really make that work against opposing legions, against opposing magics, nocturnes, whatever. When you're playing a 2, then a 6, then a 7, it's really, really hard to keep that prio. This 3/2 on Storm really hurts, and then War Machine being a 4/7 makes that further very difficult. So this does matter for that particular combo, but for this deck, I don't think it matters that much. This deck puts up so much power that it doesn't really give a crap. So turn 1 is Sable over Maw, unless you have War Machine or Madam Web. Turn 2 is Beb. Madam Web is better than Armor. Turn 3, Electro, and Electro is like a snap condition all to himself, especially assuming you have either Blink or War Machine. Turn 4, you War Machine or Blink, it depends on your hand, right? If you're sitting on the Infinite, if you're sitting on the Maw, you War Machine. If those are in your deck, then Blink makes more sense. And those are better than Cull. Turn 5, you can play Scar or Cull and a 2, or you can Alive. Sorry, Cull and a 1, not Cull and a 2. Or you can Alive. You're also fine dropping War Machine at this point. Then you end with a 6 and Kyra Armor. It's worth noting that Scar being cheaper is how you play a 6 with one of those other cards. That's it. That's nice and simple. That's how you win with this list. It's crazy strong. Please try it. Like, seriously, I don't think you're going to be let down. Let's do a quick bundle review and then move on to Symbiote Spider-Man. But first, one last look at this list. Props once more to Bonkerton. Again, this isn't like lists that we're just sharing with you because of the OTA, although there's one that we maybe Negasonic. I'm looking at you. Everything here is a legit top meta contender. This is a top meta deck. Play it. You will be happy, especially if you were enjoying that Barzy deck from earlier in the season, or when Mockingbird had 10 power. This is still an extremely powerful deck, and it plays along the same lines as that. All right, the Mind Over Munch bundle is out. It is a Psylocke bundle. It's 184%, 172% is good and buyable, 184% is pretty damn good. Remember that 200% is where we're looking at must buy as far as progress value. So the Psylocke bundle is a solid value bundle if you're looking to get some extra credits. Is it a requirement? Nope, but it's good value. So follow your heart as far as how you feel about the variant and how you feel about the extra credits, but there are bundles that are both as good and better than this fairly regularly in Marvel Snap. 99 Problems, Part 2. All right, so Gunny T made this list. I played it. This is, without any question, been my most successful deck this season. I've maintained a 70% win rate with this list without any real trouble. Gunny took this to the Lambie Discord, and someone suggested, he doesn't remember who, Quake over Shadow King, and that has been insane. Gunny has a 66% win rate, and now a ridiculously big sample with this list. This is a legitimate meta contender list. This beats the crap out of Hela. This beats the crap out of any arishem that's hanging around. And it's not terrible against move, although obviously taking out Shadow King makes that worse. But having multiple Shang-Chi with Grandmaster and Brain and Symbiote Spider-Man often does that job. And like, oh my god, does Bounce hate Black Widow and Rockslide. They really need to draw cards, and if they're not drawing cards, they're often very easy to beat. So this list is very, very good into the meta. Does it always beat Clog? No, nothing always beats Clog. Clog is the class of the game right now. But it doesn't have bad play into Clog. Unless they happen to Clog middle before you can do your Grandmaster shit, you should be okay. Also, Quake gives you a lot of play as far as like, oops, they thought they were doing something, instead you just take over. Stellar list. Alright, so Gunny T is of Snap Judgments League fame. He is our tournament runner. He is helping make videos on the Pokemon channel. He's an amazing person. If you would like to participate in our tournaments, please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. Even being a $1 Patreon gets you into the tournaments. This deck needs 3 high series cards: Darkhawk, Manilow Web, and Symbiote Spider-Man. Ghost Spider can be Aranya. I know that's another high series card, but also remember, if you don't have Ghost Spider for the next week, there is a bundle in the shop that if you buy, you have access to Ghost Spider. Grandmaster is great here, but Absorbing Man is a perfectly fine replacement. And then Cassandra Nova can be Vulture. One move on Vulture gives it more power than Cassandra Nova, unless you hit Cassandra Nova exactly on curve, which you usually don't, or like re-trigger Cassandra Nova. So Vulture in this list is absolutely stellar. All right, Barzy claimed to rank 3 with this. That's not true. I should have changed my subtitle. The subtitle here should be, let's talk some Symbiote Spider-Man. Symbiote Spider-Man as a 4/7 is going to be a meta card eventually. Is it going to be a meta card right now? No. I just told you we're still in a junk meta. As long as junk is the meta, Symbiote Spider-Man has a distinct ceiling on how good it can be. However, this is a card that's already extremely powerful, and fundamentally the instant junk is not meta, and junk will eventually be nerfed. Eventually everything gets nerfed, or something new comes out and chases junk away. The instant that happens, Symbiote Spider-Man is a meta card. This is a card you should get, not just for the progression value, but because you are future-proofing yourself against meta decks that you will not otherwise have access to. Much like you should have bought Gwenpool and Kate Bishop, because these Season Pass cards are just going to end up meta sooner or later. That's Symbiote Spider-Man now. You should have this card. Its buff really does help. Does it really matter? No. It's good. It's just saying keep playing this. It's going to be legit. I guess I'm going to have to re-review Symbiote Spider-Man because I have a last chance review of Symbiote Spider-Man, I think, right after this. Oops. All right. So turn 1, Korg mid. Turn 2, Manilow Web over Quake. Turn 3, Rockslide or Widow in a corner so that you can Grandmaster them if you want. Symbiote for Rockslide or Widow is phenomenal, or you can just Grandmaster it. Turn 5, Darkhawk, or you drop 29 on Web. And then turn 6, you're combining shit. You're dropping 2099 and Ghost Spider for an immediate kill. Or you're dropping Darkhawk and Korg, or Shang and Quake, or Grandmaster. A thing I like to do is 2099 on Web, move it to kill something, and then pull it back to the Manilow Web because they think that I just took 9 power out of that Manilow Web lane they can't get back, and instead there's 11 extra power there. I remove power from elsewhere, and then Darkhawk wins me another lane, and I win the game. That kind of thing is insane. There's a million ways to do it. You can also just go like Shang and Grandmaster and Shang 2 lanes. It beats the crap out of Destroy. Just a million ways to win with this list. This is, again, my most successful list. I think this list is insanely strong, and I cannot more strongly urge everyone to give it some play. Oh my god, it's Symbiote Spider-Man. All right, go get this card. I said this 2 minutes ago, but this is a must-have card. This is not meta right now. Junk will not be meta forever. You will soon find out that this is a card you want to own when junk is gone. This is worse than Kate Bishop. This is worse than Gwenpool, but it will be a meta card. There will be a meta that it's better than those cards in, and those cards go into a ton of decks. Go get Symbiote Spider-Man if you can. The value is through the roof. All right, next up, we have our Galactus deck for the day. This is from our friend Black Dama, and we featured this earlier in the month. I believe this is the first deck that we've card for card featured early in the month, though at this point, I'm just telling you, cut Iron Lad. Iron Lad does not belong on this list. This is the highest win rate Galactus I could find, and I didn't want to give you an extra Galactus deck that wasn't this. This also runs 2 other buffed cards, Symbiote Spider-Man, who's a 4/7, and Black Panther, who's a 4/5. Galactus now a 6/6, so 3 buffed cards. This deck is significantly improved as to where it was. You can find Black Dama at twitter.com/Black Dama, where he releases just freaking badass decks very often on Fridays. You need Galactus, Goliath, Ravonna, and Symbiote for this. Iron Lad should genuinely not be in this list. Should be Green Goblin or Aranya. Aranya is hilarious with Galactus, just if you haven't tried it. And Silver Sable can be Nebula or Nightcrawler. All right, so every single power on Galactus matters. Galactus is always going to struggle into a junk meta, but as I said when discussing Symbiote Spider-Man, junk's not going to be forever. I don't think Galactus is ever going to be the meta, but it's not difficult for me to see Galactus being in a meta deck as a thing you can do as an option to steal cubes. If and when that occurs, you're going to want this 1 power will matter more than it looks like. Adding 2 power to, fundamentally 2 power to Galactus combo with Symbiote Spider-Man, now it's 6+7 for 13 power, is again absolutely huge. I think that there's genuinely something to this, even if it's not immediate. This deck's high win rate currently, even before the changes, suggests that this is legit. Turn 1, you Sable. Turn 2, you play Ravonna, which is more or less equal to Daredevil. Turn 3, you play a 2 or wave because Daredevil is so good. If you waved, you want to Galactus or Professor X, or once in a while you can Alive. You can also just drop Hobgoblin if you have Ravonna, or you can just play Symbiote, perfectly fine. Turn 5 is sort of whatever Daredevil says to do. If they're not junking you up, messing with you, feel free to throw a Hobgoblin in your Symbiote Spider-Man lane. That will make your Galactus fundamentally 21 power, which seems nice. You can also, like, if you just have a free lane, Professor X, you can just drop a Black Panther for a win, whatever you want. Black Panther, by the way, with Zola without any other shenanigans, just being 20 power in 2 lanes is pretty damn strong. Turn 6, you either drop Galactus, if you can do the Galactus symbiote thing, or there's a lane they can't get into. You Zola your Panther, which is perfectly freaking fine. Your symbiote Panther, as the case may be. Or you Alioth and say, screw your plans. Any of those are perfectly freaking fine. They all win games of Marvel Snap. This list is very good. And if you want to play Galactus, I strongly urge you to start here. Once again, put Green Goblin in for Lad. Thank me later. All right, feedback request. Yes, this is your season pass. This is sort of for people who have been here for a while, but if you're brand new, feel free to answer to the best of your knowledge. What do you want more of that we already do? We do bundle reviews, we do deck guides, we do a billion things on this channel. What do you want to see more of? What do you enjoy that we do? Do you think it's worth doing dev answers? Last time I asked this, people were like, no, we don't really care. But if you want me to, I can always find a section of these videos to cover dev answers. Further, let's chat. Is there any Patreon tier stuff you want more of or would like to see? What would convince you to join the Patreon at the $1, $5, or $10 tier? And then just comment any further thoughts about the channel and how it's doing and how it's growing and what you like and don't like in order to win that season pass. Let's move on to Empty Deck and Empty Hand. This is our Negasonic list for the day. It is a Den deck and it is a Mill deck. I don't think this deck is going to be great. Straight up, Negasonic got an extra power, and I don't think this deck is going to be great because I don't have a lot of faith in Mill. I think it was kind of okay with Copycat, but removing Copycat has fundamentally killed it. Sorry, this is just like the best Negasonic list. I don't have a choice. It just kind of is. All right, so you can find Den at twitter.com/DenCCG. You need Proxima, Baron Zemo, and Gladiator for this. Silver Sable can be Iceman or Spider-Ham. So this is like the 5th change to Negasonic. 3 power is still not going to be enough. I recognize how frustrating it can be to play against this card, but unless the meta gets real big, then Negasonic is just a sort of mid card. For Negasonic to be good, I fully expect if and when that happens, for it to largely be a function of Supergiant being good, and that deck doesn't exist right now. However, this is still going to be a fun list to try. This is, no offense to Den, my least favorite list of the video. Turn 1, Sable over Hood over Yondu. Turn 2 is a 1, or you can Grandmaster Hood or Yondu. Turn 3, I'd love Grandmaster and Hood, just for the record. Turn 3, Viper if you have a Hood out. Moon Knight if you have Proxima in hand, and then Gladiator's better than Zemo. 4 is the same as 3. Turn 5, Black Bolt if you didn't play Moon Knight. If you did play Moon Knight, play a 3 plus Grandmaster or 3 plus another 1. This is a good time to Viper if you previously Moon Knighted, or Moon Knight if you previously Vipered, etc. Then you end this with Stature, Demon, or Demons, and Negasonic, and then you should be able to win. Because if you have 2 Demons, 12, Stature, 19, Negasonic, 3, so 22, but also destroys whatever, assuming you had priority, and you played a lot of power, so you should have priority. Cool. Let's do a quick update on alliances, because Marvel Snap Second Dinner updated alliances, then we'll talk Black Panther. But first, one look at this deck. This deck is going to be super fun. Straight up, if you want to have a fun time, you play this list. If this is meta, I'll eat my hat. I don't have a hat, but you get the idea. All right, so there's an update to alliances that I just want to make you aware of. There's 2 times points and appearances for activate missions. The destroy missions went from 8 to 6. That's brilliant. Destroy 8 was obnoxious. Destroy 6 is far more reasonable. Move went from 5 to 7, and hallelujah, I'm playing a ton of move, so now I can just go grab all those bounties. Discard went from 4 to 5, which is mildly annoying. I guess we can't only have nice things. They have to do one annoying thing. Discard was probably a little too easy, but discard 5 is genuinely annoying. I had one of those earlier. I lost a lot of rank strength to get that damn 5th discard. And they added discard and destroy pairs to the pairs thing. So, like, sometimes you'll get, like, a Morbius and a Lady Sif now, which I think is pretty cool. Alright, so ultimately, alliances are significantly better, significantly less frustrating than they were several weeks ago. This continues to improve them. It'd be nice if they did a little bit more to improve the rewards, but we're not there yet. Also, if you're looking for an alliance, we still have multiple Snap Judgments Alliance spaces, including the Snap Judgments Alliance I'm in. So if you want to come get some points and be in an alliance with me, hop on the Snap Judgments League Discord in the description to this video. Alright, next up we have Amano's Infinite, and you might not remember Amano, but he's a Japanese player who came in second in a Conquerors event to Lambi, playing Stellar and coming out of nowhere. Amano hit Infinite this season with this deck, and I've been waiting for frickin' ever to feature it. This is cool. We've got a Colossus deck, a Colossus Namora deck. We knew that would happen eventually, right? This is a very powerful and interesting list for entirely obvious reasons. It puts out a stupid amount of power 3 different ways. Those 3 ways being Panther, Namora, and White Tiger. Wong and Symbiote are doing fundamentally the same thing, and then you just need a different top end to get off whatever you want. Alright, you can find Amano at twitter.com/10_AMNS. He also has a YouTube, but that's a little harder to give you. The only high series card you really need here is Symbiote. Jeff can be Nightcrawler, and Namora can be Sage or Ironheart, and you're perfectly fine. If you do make the Ironheart change, though, or the Sage change, take out Colossus. Colossus is here specifically because adding a bajillion power to Colossus is hilarious. Colossus is a surprisingly good Symbiote Spider-Man target, just for the record. So this is finally a Black Panther deck. Panther was the season pass card of the first full season. We sort of started Marvel Snap on in October 20th, right at the end of the Miles Morales season, and then the first full season, the first season I hit Infinite, was the Black Panther season, and the card was sort of fun, but never really that great. It was always really easy to counter. There were Panther Zola stuff everywhere, Wong Panther Zola stuff everywhere that first season, but it never became meta. It was occasionally in some decent stuff with Mr. Negative, but it just needed an extra power. It was just a little too weak unless you were able to combo off it. Now, 10 power is perfectly respectable. This is a real card. This is a card you can just put into a deck respectably. You're perfectly happy playing a 10 power that can sometimes be more. Alright. Turn 1 you pass. Turn 2, Colossus over Jeff over Goose. Turn 3 is another 2, or you can drop Crystal. And you're trying to, if you're playing Crystal, you're trying to get Wong or Symbiote. If you have either, you don't need a Crystal. Turn 4 is Wong or Symbiote. I tend to prefer Wong, but either's fine. Turn 5, Namora, Panther, or Tiger. Obviously, if you're Namoring, you should have a single card in other lanes. If you are doing the Namora thing, what you do is you Namora and immediately Symbiote on it, Panther and immediately Symbiote on it, Tiger and immediately Symbiote on it. Good. This way you're getting the extra things. Then you Odin it if you have Namora or White Tiger, and if you have Panther, you Zola it. And then you probably win. All good? We got to talk next about Kraven and his new friend. First, one last look at this. This is Amano's Infinite list. It is very cool. This feels like a safety deck, but it's an Amano brew, and it rocks. Alright, Scream is a card coming out next week. We're going to do a full review of this card on either Sunday or Monday. I don't actually have the weekend schedule built yet. I've got to do that at some point soon. We'll talk all about my life bullshit at the end of this meeting. Scream is a 2/2. Series 5, 6,000 tokens, season pass. When an enemy card moves, steal 2 power from it once per turn. Pretty cool, right? So if you get this down on turn 2, and then you move an opponent card on 3, 4, 5, 6, right? That's 8 extra power for this, but it's also -8 power. That's plus 16 power. That's a potential 218. You can miss multiple of those hits and still have this be one of the biggest effective 2s in the game. It seems stellar. And because you're moving opponents' cards, sometimes you're going to move them into Kraven, and it's going to be easy to make Kraven a 2/6, 2/8 with this as well. So Kraven becoming a 2/3 all of a sudden seems like it matters. This is Owie's move control. I put Scream in it. I think Scream's going to be absolutely insanely good in this list. Basically, I want to get down Scream, and then I want to play Polaris or Spider-Man, right? And then I want to play Stegron, blah, blah, blah. But you don't always see Scream. And when you don't see Scream, you're perfectly fine just making yourself like a 7 or 9 power Kraven. That seems like it's probably pretty damn good, too. Kingpin obviously also helps, because any of those moves that land in the Kingpin lane, they're losing yet more power. This deck may eventually need a Rogue, a Red Guardian, something like that, but there is the Quake spot, which is a swing spot to change. You can find Owie at youtube.com/OwieMarvelSnap. He is a French player, one of the best French players in the world. You need Scream and Cannonball for this list. Jeff can be White Widow, Kate, or Cable. In fact, I would make Jeff White Widow. Alright, so Kraven is bumped from previous move lists. There's just not space for Kraven in any of the best move lists anymore, at least in my opinion, even with 1 extra power. However, this list, turn 1 Kingpin, turn 2 Scream over Kraven, turn 2 Polaris or Spidey, depends on the board. Turn 4 Stegron or other movers. Perfectly fine just dropping Stegron here. You can also end up going 2/2s at this point. Turn 5, this is why I want White Widow, by the way. I really want my turn 4 to be Kraven and White Widow, and then I can go Stegron and 1 on 5, Stegron and Kingpin on 5 or whatever. But what are you gonna do? So turn 5 is you're fine just dropping a Shang sometimes. You can play a 3 plus a 2, the other of Polaris or Spidey, and then Kraven. You can drop Cannonball if you know you're gonna Shang or Juggernaut at the end, or you can just do Stegron or Arrow to clog. And then turn 6 Cannonball or Shang or Jug to win. So your goal is to fundamentally clog one lane that you win because of all your like scalers, and then you Cannonball to win the game. This list should be awesome. We're almost done, friends. We're going to take one more look, and then I'm going to tell you about the Crystal Bee. So this is a list that I'm going to play frickin' immediately upon Scream coming out. I think this is going to be a meta deck. I think Scream is going to give us access to a new meta deck. If you look at the win rate for this style of deck, it's through the roof. So I bet you it's just going to be great. Hey, my wife has an online channel. It's called The Crystal Bee. She makes a ton of her own jewelry, does crystal stuff. If you're looking to buy something or buy something for a friend, partner, significant other, parent, please check out The Crystal Bee on Instagram. It's The Crystal Bee, Crystal Bee 21 on Instagram if you're interested. I think you'll like it a lot. It's really cool stuff. If you don't, hey, no harm, no foul, but it's my wife's thing, and I love her, and she's awesome, and you should check it out. All right. So, we featured a version of this 2 days ago that Sizer made that had magic in it and not Hercules. Hercules is a 3/5, at least deserves a look in this list. Comies swears by this list. He's in the top 10 to 15 with this list all the time. He thinks that this is the best way to play bounce. Comies, by the way, is the Marvel Snap World Championship. There were a bunch of tournaments that were feeder tournaments into this one larger idea. That larger tournament of all the winners of previous tournaments was won by Comies, who is the current Marvel Snap World Champion. I don't know if we'll ever have another because the feeder tournaments are kind of gone, but Comies is the World Champion and says this is the best deck. So you need Madam Web, Tribunal, and Ghost Spider for this. Aranya can be Doctor Strange, and Hercules can be Magic. Cool. So this is when Hercules was made a 3/4 from a 4/6, 4/7, whatever the dumb number he had. It said that, well, we're going to eventually have to make him a 4 again because he's going to be too good. The game has power crept significantly. Hercules' randomness really hurts, and move mirrors make Hercules difficult. So he needs to be 5 power. This is an excellent change. This is where he deserves to be and where he belongs. Turn 1, you had on your pass. Turn 2 is Madam Web, who's a snap condition. That's over to torch moves. If you have Aranya out, you can often trigger Aranya, play Iron Fist, trigger Aranya, play Torch, and do the double move, and immediately get yourself a 16 power Human Torch. You're perfectly fine doing that. Torch is the key to this list. Turn 3, you can Hercules, and you're perfectly fine doing nothing until Hercules. You play that over Vulture. My wife just got home. We just talked about the Crystal Bee, and here she is. All right, next up, you have move with Hercules, and just you get the double move there, or you bounce. The cat just started meowing at my wife. You can replay all the move, ending with Cloak, so that you can just move. You can play the move into Cloak mind games to end the game, or you can just bounce. If you bounce, you're trying to replay in some surprising spots, some big guards in order to win. And if you didn't bounce, you're just trying to drop Tribunal and spread your power to win the game. Nice and simple. Remember that the most important card for a Tribunal is Torch. He's the card that most likely gets big enough for it to work, although Dagger is a decent backup. One last look at this, but we've also got one more deck before we go. Don't forget, we got our weekend mission review of Scarlet Spider. Scarlet Spider is a 4/5, activate an exact clone of this to another location, and Scarlet Spider is right now mid. I think this card is eventually going to be good. It's good stats, it's good locations, but it is very bad into the meta. The OTA did not make this significantly better. I think that this is going to be a decent card, but right now it is not. I cannot recommend you buy this card as of now. We'll see what kind of stats the weekend missions get us. Let's take a quick look at a Scarlet Spider list. Then I'm going to chat with you, and then we're out of here. This is Safety Blade's leg day. Safety Blade had a lot of success with my Scarlet Spider list, which you can find in the Tuesday video. And with Zombies Go Nom Nom Scarlet Spider list, we also had multiple good Scarlet Spider list Wednesday and Thursday in the video. So if you want to check those out, this is Safety's version. It is fundamentally fairly similar to that previous Wiccan deck, but it has the idea of, fundamentally, sometimes you have to gwenpool on 4, and if you can gwenpool on 4 into Scarlet Spider, Sebastian Shaw type cards, you're going to win that game of Marvel Snap. That's just the whole gist here, right? If you Scarlet Spider into the big scalers, Mr. Sinister, Scarlet Spider, and Sebastian Shaw, you should be able to win because everything else in this list just puts up that kind of power. You can find Safety once more at twitch.tv/SafetyBlade. Way back in Deck 2, we had another version of this with replacements. I'm not going to repeat myself. This video is already insanely long. All right, so I'm not sure this is better than the previous version, but it is good upon testing. Turn 1 is Maria over Nico, unless you have like a draw 2 or something, over Kitty. Turn 2 is Kate if you don't have a 3-drop, if not Forge. If you played Forge, send a star to 1 or Shaw, if not Speed. Turn 4 is Wiccan over Gwenpool. Turn 5, if you played Wiccan, you play Gwenpool into 3. If you played Gwenpool, you play Scarlet Spider. And then you end with Eliath or Shaw and a bunch of other cards. And that's it. That's 10 decks with 10 full deck guides. Who else does this? Who goes this in-depth for this many decks that are legit meta contenders, sitting at huge win rates at the top of the Infinite Leaderboard? I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to get to questions of the day, and hey, before we get there, I'm not actually going to do questions of the day. I'm just going to vent for 2 minutes. All right. It's about to be midnight as I'm finishing this video. I got to post it and everything. This was like the longest fucking day of my life. It was my nephew's funeral, so I was at that all evening, which was obviously very difficult and painful. I don't want to get into detail about it. It was just a lot. In addition to that, I had the full day of work. I chose to purposefully do full lectures today. I made my kids watch The Princess Bride, which is one of my favorite movies, and I did full lectures because I knew it would make the day go fast. But I also had, I think, 4 union meetings during the day, ended up having to skip lunch. It was just an absolute ridiculously long day. And then there was a kerfuffle. Not a Mr. Kerfuffle, but a kerfuffle with second dinner, and I was unable to make this video and get the OTA stuff in a timely manner, so I ended up putting that all together super late. It's been an freaking deal. Like, just holy shit, what a day. I'm so happy it's over. Not my favorite day ever, let me just tell you right now. Tomorrow will be better. It has to be. All right. Oh, that's not how I wanted to end that. But not only will tomorrow be better for me, it will be better for you, dear viewer. Let's keep improving. Let's keep working at caring and doing our best as we can. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. We're going to do this quickly because it's super late. Patreon.com/snapjudgments. I'd like to say thank you to Abigail Kiesland, Manager Burnout Cables, Regardless, David G. Wingfield, Direwolf, LAB, FaThorNewman, Good Dog Gamer Inc., I am Frostman, Jane Everett, Corbin Prime, Brian A. Ryan, Ryan Burke, Caretix, Lee, The King Questions, Koi Ray, coming all the way from Japan, Black, Dahlia, hello, Alliance Leader, Pyro, Froze, hey Pyro, The Goat Seeker, Denman Falcon, Archangel, 3Quay, Quid Pro Joe, not Quid Pro. I can't talk. Jeez, it's getting late. They came to Marvel Snap card content. Doc D, Fat Nick, we love you. Fat Nick, hope you're doing well, my friend. Mr. Kerfuffle, we just referenced you. Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, who's killing it with the shorts. Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Silverman, The Bizza. Thanks for reaching out, my friend. I appreciate you so much. XRC and Skippy G, winner of Snapchat League Season 1, Tommy Nyquist, The King of Bros, The Great Kazoo, Jessica Gamble, Woody, Kevsey Hoda, Luna Chris, Constant Pin, John Q, and Jimmy McHugh. That's right, it was Q-Town. Then we've got Clam, 8th Sage, Mod Supreme Models, Darth Tater, No Joke HOP, our new friend. Thank you so much to Steven. Appreciate you. Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B, JT McDonaldinho, The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrum X, Hoot, Matt H, DJ Micah Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Ocularis, Mr. Cricksterry, Seamus Jonesy. Check out the triple threat, y'all. 2 Ties, The Great Lauren Devs, The Parry King Tuccrr, The Home Man, of course, Gunning T, where the T stands for. There's a Pokemon video from Gunning T right in front of you. We also have linked here the video that has that Scarlet Spider deck that I think is the best version of it. sub right below, and we'll see you tomorrow for a podcast. And then after that, we'll see you Sunday for yet more Snap Take. I think we're doing 2 videos Sunday, y'all. Get ready. Peace.